Hey guys, it's Emma's Pretty Gems here, wishing you guys a happy new year. I cannot believe that it's so close to my 21-year anniversary. I just cannot believe it. For Emma's Pretty Gems being open that long, it's ecstatic. It's thrilling, it's one of a kind, it's just incredible. Um, But let's jump into this segment for tonight. We are going to be discussing about uh, places to buy materials. I like this one especially because there's so many different resources for jewelry making supplies. Michael's, Hobby Lobby, those are in person shops. And then second, online, Fire Mountain Gems, Beadsmith, um, Art Beads, there's Etsy. You can get a lot of stuff from Etsy. You can get a lot of stuff from Amazon. It's just like the coolest thing in the world to have those kind of resources. And my favorites are all of them. But another place you can get some really good beads and good quality stuff is like local bead shops. My favorite are Lotus Beads and Jewelry in the Mall of America in Maple in Minnesota. And the other one is Beehive in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I know I mentioned this in my first episode of this podcast, but I like to dig in a little bit further into it, knowing what tools are good quality tools and what are like cheap Dollar Tree tools. Um, the higher quality stuff that you get, the better off your tools will last a very long time. And you can never have too many tools. I mean, I have sets after sets of different tools. I just got my Christmas present, which is basically a two-in-one. It has like a nylon pliers, but it's your normal set of pliers, like round nose pliers, but the inside of the tool has like a nylon plier-ish kind of thing. And it's very good for wire straightening so that you can straighten your wires so it doesn't make it dinged up and stuff, because that's never fun. And that shows in your work when you do that. I'm especially really passionate about wire wrapping. I like to wire wrap like bicone crystal hoop earrings. Uh, I like to make wire wrapped rings. And I use different gauges of wire because each project you do, the um the gauge of a wire is 24, and that's the thinnest wire, and then it goes up to the thickest wire by like I use 22 and 20 gauge for making rings and stuff. That's my go-to on those. Um But if you're first learning out the basics of jewelry making in general, like the history, but also learning like the basics of tools, this is the great place to be at. I know I mentioned this a lot with the first like episode or so, but I like to get into it more detailed so that you can have a list, and you're probably going to write this down of all the information, and I can post this on basically my YouTube page, which tonight I just posted, or not posted, but uploading my first podcast on YouTube. And I'm very excited, but I'm also a little nervous. And I just want all the support and love that I can get for this podcast. And I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I have with this journey that I have been doing. And I hope that you guys will be able to look back on these episodes and go through them and get all the information you need. Always have a notebook. It's always good to write things down so you know where to get all these resources from. I make a lot of string bracelets as well, and my favorite brand is Beadalon Elasticity City stretch cord, and it's about 6.4 feet and 5 millimeters. And diameter is like point 0.020 in and then 0.5 millimeters. So this is really good string. And the best glue that you can use for this is called GS, like a GS hypo cement glue. And it's got this fine detailed work for like this application thing. So it only puts a small amount of glue on your string, on your knots, when you do elasticity bracelets, which are very handy to have. But the only problem that I have sometimes with this glue is that sometimes the pressure in the actual tube itself pops the cap open a little bit and the glue comes out and it gets stuck. Or if you don't use it very often, it dries up and then you can't get the lid off. Then you have to buy a brand new one. And I tell you, this one I got at Hobby Lobby and it was like $6.49. I think you can get these at Michael's as well. But I can do further research on that. Like I said, getting yourself your first jewelry kit is basically a round nose pliers with round nose-ish like roundness to them. Then you need a flat nose and a chain pliers. Always get two sets of pliers, of flat nose pliers, because one, they help with opening jump rings, and two, they help close closures of earring wires, jump rings, eye pins and head pins. Well, not head pins, but mostly eye pins. If you're gonna add like a little charm at the end of it. I'll get more into that when we get into our next episode. But these are the main things you gotta think about when you're starting off jewelry. And you also have to get a wire cutter, and I recommend one that is a good quality, and you can get a bunch of different styles at like Michael's and Hobby Lobby. Um, I use like this is an Italian style. Um, I got this from like a website. I think it's Wire Jewelry or something, Wire Works Jewelry. And also another thing that I think is very key on having is it's like this little ring, but it helps you open jump rings. So it's like a little tool and it's got three prongs and you use it to help open jump rings if you don't have two pliers like I do. I have multiple pliers because each project is so much different. Like I have pliers for memory wire, which we'll get into that segment, trust me. And another one is um wire memory wire cutters, because if you use regular wire cutters, you'll break them with with the memory wire metal, because it's a lot thicker and a lot stronger. So you need something that actually snips it really good. Because if you use your regular um, wire cutters, say goodbye to them because crunch, they'll have a dent in them, they'll have a divot, the tip will break off. You don't want that. I promise you that. I 100% guarantee you don't want that because that's super expensive. And like I said in that segment where we were talking in details, or not super detailed, of tools, there's one that I'm just super proud of, and I know I might have mentioned it a while back, but this is like the best tool in the world. It's called a one-step looper, And the loop makes about a 1.5 millimeter loop on your earrings or your bracelet links that you're making with eye pins. And it just you just squeeze it and you release it and it cuts the wire and makes a very delicate loop on your top of your earring to finish it off. And that's what you would use to connect your ear wire to that loop so that you can make your actual pair of earrings, which is super, super easy to do. And always make sure you also have storage for all your beads and essentials. I go to Michael's a lot and Hobby Lobby a lot. And I always like to make sure I have a bead box full of my beads, organized. It doesn't have to be color coded if you don't want it to be. I spread my colors wide. Like, but for some of the holiday ones, I keep them pinks and reds and purples together. And then other beads, I just mix and match because, you don't have to have them color coordinated or whatever. Um, but sometimes it works. Sometimes people like to have that. And other people like to be organized in a different way, which there's no right way or wrong way to do it. It's mostly how comfortable you can be with when you're making jewelry. If you want your colors to be a certain way, great. Welcome to that. That's wonderful. But if you want to just do it just randomly and just have a box, just different colors, that's fine too. That's your way of being creative. And I encourage you guys from each episode that I do for this podcast, I'm going to be answering or asking a question for you guys. And I love these questions. This is a really good one. How would you organize your jewelry station or your jewelry studio? Would you have a lot of boxes or what would you do? Tell me. I'd love to know what you guys would do with your studios or your small confined spaces that you have. How would you organize your beads? Would they be color coordinated or would they be just mixed in? Or what would you do? I'd love to hear about this. Just put it down on the comments on my YouTube page and just let me know. I'd love to hear about that. And I just can't believe that tomorrow at like noon, I will be having my very first episode of Emma's Pretty Gems, or sorry, Emma's, Emily, gosh, so, bleh. Sorry. I apologize for that mix up. I was saying I will have my first episode of Emma's Jewelry Talk, and I'm ecstatic that it's going to be released tomorrow at noon on January 1st, 2026. Holy moly, I just cannot believe it. And that's what we are discussing tonight for this episode is just making sure you have the right materials and good quantity of materials too. I mean, I buy a lot of things that help me keep making jewelry. Just like I said, my new collection that will be released in a couple of weeks. Well, I have all the tools and materials, the wire that I need, the eye pins I need, the ear wire, and I also, like I said, I got my new magnet clasp finally. And I also got this really cool tool for making these kind of funky little stickers. It's like a printed, um, like a thermal printer, like it's a mini printer, and it prints out stickers, and you can place them, everywhere you want to put them. I did it for my QR codes. I did it for my business logo, which is super awesome. But the hard part is about that is they're black and white. So it doesn't show the actual color, which I'm gonna have to figure out that little issue. But I like it because it's fun and I was just messing around with that and getting used to learning how to use it. It's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. It's really exciting. I'm looking forward to use it in the near future with my jewelry. And I also, like I said, I got my clasps, gold and silver, different shapes and sizes. And then I also have the sparkling ones that are very sparkly as well. Then I also have my thank you for supporting my small business stickers. And I'm very excited about that. And I still have a couple more things coming in the mail. I think I have something this Sunday, and they're like diamond shaped stickers, so I can add them to my collection of stickers. And then I get something from Fire Mountain Gems, which is another place I just love to shop. I think I've gotten a lot of orders from there, more than I can even count. But like I said, just think about those resources I gave you guys for tonight. And I hope you guys have a wonderful and safe New Year's Eve. Please be careful out there and enjoy your time with your family and friends. And I'm wishing you another happy New Year's, everyone. Thank you again for joining my podcast. I am really thrilled to get to know each and every one of my listeners. This will be a fun experience that you guys will never forget. This is Emma's Pretty Gems here, signing off. Have a good night, guys.